Hello everyone, my name is ZCRGator and welcome back to Tier List Tuesday. Today's tier list is a continuation of last week's where we started our rankings of all of the regional forms of Pokemon. We started in the Alola region and we will be traveling over to Generation 8, the Galar region, the Sword and Shield games where we see some old familiar faces with a brand new coat of paint. They have been reimagined, revitalized, rejuvenated, and we will be ranking them all here today. With that being said, before we get started, it is the same tiers as the last video, and if you haven't seen last week's video, go watch that right now. It's not spoiling anything or whatnot, but just go watch it. It's a good watch, I promise you. And with that being said, before we get started with this video, if you end up enjoying today's video, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps your boy out. We are on the road to 100 subscribers, and if we have already hit 100, then we are on the road to 200 subscribers. And comment down below, who is your favorite regional variation from the Galar region and why? And with that being said, let's get started, and we are starting it off real nice. We're starting it off with one of my favorites, Galarian Zigzagoon, and I love this little dude. I love his little design. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of this kind of, I guess, what is Zigzagoon? What type of ant is he? Based off of a raccoon? He's got more of the actual raccoon colors to him. I like the color variation. I like the color of the eyes. I like him. He's just a little mischievous fella, and I really enjoyed using him on my first playthrough of Sword and Shield. Unfortunately, the eyeballs remind me a lot of Team Yell, and I am not a big fan of Team Yell, and he's kind of the poster child of Team Yell, which is unfortunate. But I'm not counting that against him, because I'm just a big fan of my man's Mr. Zigzagoon, the mischievous dude. I'm a fan. I like the dark typing that he ends up getting. It's really funny that a lot of, at least in Alola and Galar, for some reason, the Pokemon Company was just like, hey, you have the dark type? Are you normal type? You want to be a dark type? You want to be a dark type? You're a dark type now. We got that with we're getting it with Zigzagoon. Dark and normal, funny enough. Getting it with Zigzagoon. We got it with Meowth. We got it with Grimer. I think we get it with Farfetch'd as well. I'm going to fact check myself on that one, because I think Farfetch'd is actually only a fighting type. Galarian, yeah, it's only fighting type. I just checked it real quick. But we're getting off track. Zigzagoon, I like Zigzagoon a lot. I'm also a big fan of Linoon. I think Galarian Linoon is a really sick design. I think getting Stab Night Slash is super nice. Getting the Stab chance of getting a crit. Plus, you also have Stab Slash as well. It's just, it's nice overall. It's a fun Pokemon to use, and I enjoy it. Now, the one that I actually like the most out of the bunch is the big leader, the big goon himself, the ace Pokemon of Piers, the 7th gym leader in Sword and Shield, Obstagoon. And Obstagoon is really sick. I think it has a base stat total of 520, if I remember correctly. It's really nice in defense. It can hit you kind of hard. It's a little fast. He's just cool. I like Obstagoon because I think he's really cool. I think he has a signature move, if I remember correctly. I think it's called Obstruct. And Obstruct is basically, I think it's kind of like Spiky Shield, if I'm remembering correctly. Let's look it up real quick. Obstruct prevents any attacks targeted at the user from striking for the duration of the turn. If a contact move is targeted at the user on that turn, the attacker's defense is lowered by 2 stages, which is pretty nice. So basically, if someone's about to hit you with a close combat and you hit them with the Obstruct move, their attack stage gets lowered by 2. That's a pretty nice advantage to have. You're probably going to be able to live a hit, and then you can throw out a really strong counter if they actually do stay in and try to attack you again. Obstagoon, I think he's really cool. I love the design. This man is an absolute unit. I think he's cool. Obviously, this man is up to no good. He's up to some funny business, I tell you what, but that's okay, because I still like him. I think he's a really cool Pokemon. I think he's got a really sick design. I really enjoyed using Obstagoon on my first playthrough of Pokemon Sword. So I'm putting him all the way up in my GOAT tier. He actually might be... We'll see about that. Up next, Galarian Meowth. I believe it's only a steel type. I attempted to use little Galarian Meowth because I was like, oh, it's a steel type. That's kind of sick. It was all right. I don't know. It was kind of mid. It was a little mid for me if I have to be quite honest. Getting Metal Claw is kind of cool. It's got Fake Out, but it's just kind of mid to me. It's just a mid fella. I wasn't super over on the design. I definitely preferred a Alolan Meowth design way more than I do Galarian Meowth. But Galarian Meowth evolves into Berserker, which is technically its own Pokemon. It's not like an Alolan Persian. It's just a Berserker. It is called the Viking Pokemon. Also Steel type. I thought Berserker was kind of cool. I didn't really use him all too much because I kind of traded him out on my team for a Dragapult instead, which is way cooler. But he can learn Iron Head, and that's kind of sick, you know? I think just because he's Steel type is kind of cool too. He's alright. Like, I'm going to put him above average. He's not quite mid for me. I do like him a little bit more than mid. I think if I didn't trade him out and actually like used him, I'd probably enjoy Berserker a little bit more. He's got good attack, he's got good defense. Everything else is kind of lackluster, unfortunately, for the lad, but I like the design. He's got a pretty sick design, and being called the Viking Pokemon means you're kind of cool to begin with, so I'm going to put him in my above average. He feels like a nice B tier Pokemon. Up next, we have Galarian Ponyta, and to be quite honest, I tend to forget this thing exists in my mind. To me, it's one of the most forgettable Pokemon, and I kind of feel bad, because anytime I think of regional forms, this is probably at the very bottom of my list. It's alright, like, it's kind of mid to me. I think it's only a Psychic type, in which, when it evolves into Rapidash, it becomes a Psychic Fairy type. Again, it's alright, like, it learns some nice moves, it's okay, but it's just kind of mid for me. I don't really have much to say about this one or Galarian Rapidash because I never really used them. It's just, I'm kind of basing it more solely off of design. I think the typing's kind of sick, but I still prefer normal Rapidash and normal Ponyta because I like them more. I just think their designs are cooler, plus their shiny designs are unbelievably good with the blue. But it's an alright Pokemon. I mean, let's check the move set real quick of Galarian Rapidash. Those are TMs. We'll look at the actual. If we get there, we are. It's all right. I mean, Dazzling Gleam's a pretty solid move. It's Psychic Dazzling Gleam, but it learns it so 49 and 56. That is a long. I guess it learns Psycho Cut on when it evolves, so that's kind of cool. That is actually pretty cool. I did notice that some of the Galarian forms actually did have stat changes from their normal forms, which I thought was kind of cool. I think that's a lot cooler to actually have different stats, because they, I think they should. I think they should have different stats. But with that being said, Galarian Rapidash is kind of mid. It is kind of mid. Up next, we have our fighting type Farfetch'd. The thing that I could not remember the name of while doing my Generation 1 Pokemon quiz, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that, go watch it. It was absolutely stressful trying to name all original 151 Pokemon in 15 minutes or less. It was a ton of fun. I could not remember this dude's name. I kept calling him the Stick Man, the Bird Stick Dude, and I couldn't actually remember his name. But Galarian Farfetch'd, he's kind of edgy. He's a little bit of an edgelord. He's kind of fighting type. He's kind of nice. I mean, he's cool. He's above average. He's not like Berserker levels for me, but he's kind of cool. The big thing is, though, is his evolution, Sirfetch'd. And I think Sirfetch'd is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Mr. Sirfetch'd. I think he's an amazing Pokemon. His attack stat is through the roof. He's got some solid defense. But man, is Sirfetch'd pretty. I thought he was fun to use. I did get to use one for a little bit. I didn't use him like super much, but I did go out of the way to you had to land 3 critical hits in one battle with Galarian Farfetch'd in order to get Sirfetch'd. And his moveset's kind of nice. I mean, he learns Brick Break, Swords Dance. I think he learns Leaf Blade, which is really cool. Brave Bird, obviously. And then there's like this move called Meteor Assault, which I thought was pretty sick. So I enjoyed Sirfetch'd a lot. I'm kind of a big fan. I think Ash in the Gen 8 anime ends up getting one, which is kind of cool. I haven't seen much of it, but I've seen a couple of episodes here and there. I didn't really watch it in a row. I just pick up an episode every now and then and be like, that was a fun watch. But yeah, Sirfetch'd, I think it's a pretty cool Pokemon. Up next, we have Galarian Stunfisk. And Stunfisk, on its own, I think he's an alright dude. I'm actually kind of a fan of the derpy Stunfisk. The ground steel type Stunfisk that is basically meant to resemble that of a bear trap, at least I think it is. I think it's kind of cool. He was a little annoying though, I think Galar Mine number 2, very creative name there. Galar Mine number 2, I think you had to run past a couple of Stunfisks, and they did get a little annoying. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of annoying trying to get past the Galarian Stunfisks. In total, he's all right. Like I think the big difference between him is that he has a buff in attack, whereas normal Stunfisk has more of a buff in special attack. Not saying that the attack or special attack is all that great to begin with, but the steel typing is kind of sick. I mean, he's all right. Like it's kind of mid. Like it's just kind of mid to me. It's all I see in him. It's just mid material. Do I see mid material? Honestly, this little Meowth dude is trash. No offense to Meowth. I'm not the biggest fan of Galarian Meowth, actually. Seeing him next to the other three, I did not feel he deserves to be up there. But Stunfisk, he's just mid. He's just mid. I'll put him at the top of the mid tier. I like him more than the Ponyta and the Rapidash, but he's just mid to me. Up next, we have Galarian Weezing, and I'm a big fan of Galarian Weezing. I like the little chimney smoke coming up from up top. I believe he's Poison and Fairy, if I remember correctly. I ended up using one on for a little bit, not the entire playthrough, but I did use him for a couple of gyms in my first playthrough of Pokemon Sword, and I enjoyed him. I thought he was really cool. I'm a big fan of Weezing, the normal Weezing, and I thought Galarian Weezing was also pretty cool to use. He learns this move called, I think, Strange Steam, which was like a 90 base power fairy type move, which is pretty cool. And then it had like a chance to confuse people, which I thought was really sick. Obviously, he can learn normal moves like Weezing, like Sludge Bomb and Toxic and Belch and all of that stuff. Well, I thought he was fun to use. I enjoyed him. I think he goes up in my amazing tier. I'm a rather big fan. Actually, for regional forms, he's kind of goated. Is he? We'll put him there. We'll put him there for now. I enjoyed him a lot. He's kind of goated. Up next, we are looking at Galarian Yamask. And I actually kind of like Galarian Yamask. He's a little dude. I think I like him more than normal Yamask. I like the little stone tablet that he has. He's just a little guy. I like the little guy. Obviously, I think he's ground ghost. I did use Runerigus on my first playthrough just because I really love Cofagrigus. So I was like, of course I'm going to use the Galarian form. And I was a big fan of using these guys. For some reason, it was unbelievably hard for me to catch this dude. I remember it being unbearably difficult. And I'm like, I swear your catch rate is not that high. I don't understand why I'm struggling so much to catch you. But then I did catch it, and I quite enjoyed it. Oops, sorry about that, Darmaka. I was about to grab Runerigus there, because I'm going to put him all the way up in the GOAT tier. I'm a big fan of Runerigus. I'm a big fan. Yamask on its own is pretty solid, but Runerigus is pretty sick. Now, I will say, the way to evolve it was absolutely ludicrous. I don't know how a normal kid was supposed to figure that one out, that you're supposed to get, like, below, I forgot what the threshold was. I think he had to take like 59 damage or something, 49 damage, 69 damage, and then you had to keep your Yamask injured and then run under this specific like archway in the Dusty Bowl. It was really dumb, kinda, but also because it's so wacky and so goofy, I actually kind of like it. I don't know why. It's like Inkay. In Generation 6, in order to evolve Inkay, you had to flip your DS upside down, your 3DS upside down. And I did that by accident. I had no idea why he was evolving. I was like, what happened? Why is he evolving? Because I was just carrying my 3DS, and I guess I flipped it upside down, not meaning to. And bam, had a Malamar out of nowhere. But Runerigus, I'm a big fan of Runerigus. I like the dude. He's got some solid attack, or not special. Yeah, special defense is solid. It's defense. His defense is absolutely awesome. 145 in defense. He's pretty nice. I don't know if I like him more than Cofagrigus, because I really like Cofagrigus. Something about the mummy and the sarcophagus I really like. But also Runerigus is super cool, because he's just like a whole bunch of stone tablets come together. This absolutely horrific shadow-like creature come to life. I think it's pretty sick. I'm firing off earthquakes and shadow balls like it's... I don't know what it's like, but it's very fun to fire them off. I enjoyed using Runerigus a lot throughout my playthrough. Up next, we have Corsola. And the Galarian form of Corsola is pretty... I mean, it makes me a little sad. It's like a little ghost dude. You know, it's alright. I only used it for a tiny bit, so I don't really have, like, much familiarity with it. But it was I mean, the ghost typing's kind of cool. It just makes me a little sad that this poor thing had to go and turn into a spirit like that. And then of course you have, I guess I should rank it real quick. It's above average. I like the design. It makes me a little sad, you know. It makes me a little sad because it's just it was due to climate change that wiped it out, and it made me feel a little bad. And then, of course, it evolves into Corsola. And I thought Corsola was kind of sick. I think Corsola is a pretty cool design. It's really good in special attack and special defense. If you hit this thing with any physical move, it is a goner. Like, I think it had a base stat total of 50 in defense, which isn't the greatest. But special attacking, it's really solid. I think you can teach it Shadow Ball, if I'm not mistaken. If you can't, that's really not the greatest. Yeah, you could teach it Shadow Ball. But yeah, Shadow Ball, Power Gem. It was alright. I liked it. I really liked the design. I think the design's pretty sick. So I'm gonna put it right in above average and at the very top of above average. Up next, we have Galarian Darumaka. And I like the little guy. I think I like normal Darumaka a little bit more. But I'm also a big fan of ice types. And Galarian Darumaka, he's just a little dude. I wish he was a little happier. He's got the Snorunt teeth, but there's something about Snorunt that I just like a little bit more. This dude, he's alright. He's kind of mid. He's top of my mid tier, but he's pretty mid. Now, where he absolutely shines is when he becomes Galarian Darmanitan. I love this dude. I love him so much. He's one of my favorite designs. His Zen mode's pretty solid. I'm putting that in the amazing tier as well. You get to be right there. But I love normal Galarian Darmanitan. I think he is absolutely awesome. Attack stat out the wazoo. Now this man is a glass cannon. You hit him with a physical or a special move and he is gone. Absolutely gone. But I still really like this guy. I like him a lot. He's really fun. I love the fact that I'm throwing out ice punches, I'm throwing out avalanches, I'm throwing out superpowers, belly drumming up. You best believe you better watch out, because I'm coming with you with an icicle crash. I enjoy it. I love the ice type. I really enjoyed using Galarian Darmanitan. He is so much fun. I think he also learns the move, Burning Jealousy, which I thought that was kind of a sick move. And then obviously his Zen mode's pretty sick too, but I'm a big fan. I love his design so much. It's just something about him. He just works so well. So up next, we have Mr. Mime, Galarian Mr. Mime, and this guy kind of freaked me out a little bit. I'm a little... I don't know. I don't trust his vibe. I really don't trust his vibe. He's a little tap dancing dude. He's a tap dancing type of guy. I don't trust him. I do not trust him. It's like the Mr. Mime from Detective Pikachu. I do not trust that guy. I do not trust Galarian Mr. Mime either. I don't know what it is about him. I just don't trust him. I believe he's Ice and Psychic. Either way, this guy, I want nothing to do with him. I don't want anything to do with Galarian Mr. Mime because I just don't vibe with him. I don't vibe with him. There's something about him. There's something about him that just scares me. Unlike Mr. Rhyme, though, Mr. Rhyme is a completely different story. You see that man? He's got a cane. He's tap dancing. He's a little comedian. He's got the mustache. He's got the killer mustache. I'm a big Mr. Rhyme fan. He's pretty cool. He's very solid. He's very solid. Not a goat. He's not a goat, but he's still really cool. I'm a fan of Mr. Rhyme out here, ice and psychic type. This dude is absolutely tap dancing. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how he's really funny or not, but apparently he's funny. He's called the comedian Pokemon, so I guess he's a comedian for a reason. But he's cool. He's got freeze dry. He's got psychic. He's all right. I used it for a little bit. He's got dazzling gleam. I think he can learn as well. It was fun to use. Like, he's pretty solid. Out of the regional forms, I like him. I think he's really cool. I like the design. I was never expecting Mr. Mime, of all things, to get an evolution. And when it did, and it was this guy. Now, Galarian Mr. Mime scared me. But when I see this guy, I'm like, oh, all right. That's a guy I can vibe with. That's a guy that I can trust. That mustache, clearly a fancy gentleman. And I respect the fancy gentleman nature of Mr. Rhyme. With that being said, I guess that wraps it up for our Galarian Regional Form tier lists. I like how the list looks. With that being said, if you ended up enjoying today's video, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, it really helps your boy out, and comment down below who is your favorite and or least favorite Galarian Regional Form and why. I would love to hear. And yeah, I hope you have an absolutely phenomenal rest of your day, phenomenal rest of your week, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye-bye.